two things would have to happen, in my opinion, for him to, for this to drastically change would be he announces he's retiring after this year. This is his final year. And then the Lakers are not, for whatever reason, are underperforming around the deadline. So maybe it's solid, but relatively mediocre team, and LeBron wants to compete for a title. And at that point, he asks out, and he has his list of whatever that list ends up being. So
Lakers reporter talks about LeBron James leaving the Lakers. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
The last name, I'll just say Rich, but I do recognize the profile picture. Thank you for the super chat. Chances on LeBron asking/not asking for a trade. You're really putting me on the hot seat here with this one. I'm going to go with, I'd still say like 85-15. I think when it first happened, I'm trying to, I think my percentages have progressively gone up, but they've been, I want to say I said like 95-5, I think. And I don't remember if I said it on here or I did a different show or radio hit. I said like 95% chance he's staying, doesn't ask out, or 5% chance he asks out. Then I think at some point over the past month, I moved it to like 90-10. I'm at like 85-15, which is still decisively in favor of, heavy favorite is him staying a Laker. And I think that's the overwhelmingly likely outcome here.
Yeah, I'm more leaning toward LeBron staying in LA, even though I wouldn't mind him leaving. But by him having that no trade clause, he can play chess with the Lakers, so he can act like a diva. He can put out certain narratives on social media, working out at the Clippers facility, working out with the Cavs and their facilities and their rookie. So he's just doing what he wants to do, controlling the narratives. He has the media by the collar right now. He can lead the charge as far as where he wants to go. Either he's going to stay, or maybe he may push the issue and ask for a trade. But again, that no trade clause gives LeBron James the temporary power, at least for the next 12 months. So they're just going to have to deal with LeBron. Now, if there's a real trade out there that LeBron James may like, then maybe. But as of right now, 90% chance that LeBron James stays with LA for the remainder of the season.
I think that there's a lot of factors that go into this. Like, I think one thing that could shift this potentially to a more, 75-25 or something like that is this LeBron's last season? And then with that, like, how important is it getting the swan song in LA and finishing his legacy as a Laker, or competing for a championship? Because if, like, I think that really two things would have to happen, in my opinion, for him to, for this to drastically change would be he announces he's retiring after this year. This is his final year. And then the Lakers are not, for whatever reason, are underperforming around the deadline. So maybe it's mid to late January and the Lakers are 7th in the West, 8th in the West, whatever. They're looking like a solid but relatively mediocre team, and LeBron wants to compete for a title. And at that point, he asks out, and he has his list of whatever that list ends up being. So
yeah, that could be another variable. Is this LeBron James' last season? How would the Lakers be doing before the trade deadline? Yeah, if they are the 7th or 8th seed and they're struggling to put together multiple game winning streaks and they're just hanging on by a thread, is LeBron James going to be like, you know what? If this is my last season, I might as well end the last few months trying to win a championship. But which team would want to trade multiple players to match that contract? That's where the real issue is. If LeBron James wasn't making $52 million per year, that'd be great. If he was making 25 or 30 this season, I'm sure there's a disgruntled player on a good team that wouldn't mind going to LA if they really want to leave that said team. But again, $52 million to try to offload for a 41-year-old that's going to retire in a few months after you trade for him, I don't see it happening. Unless there's a buyout, unless there's a team that really wants to get rid of a bunch of players just to have a run and have a chance to play with LeBron on their franchise. A lot of ticket sales, a lot of merch, that's good, but I don't think it's worth it to rent LeBron James for a few months unless he intends on re-signing with the team after this season.
I think those two things would have to happen, but we don't have clarity as of right now if LeBron is retiring, if he's playing potentially another couple years, 3 years, whatever. And then we obviously don't know where the Lakers are going to be at come, say, January, mid to late January. So I think there's a couple dominoes that would have to fall, in my opinion, for this to really swing and pick up some momentum of LeBron asking out. But as of right now, I expect him to be a Laker on media day, the opening of training camp, preseason, and for the entire season. I just think there is a slight chance that I think the door's cracked open slightly, however small. But yeah, I expect him to be like if you're asking me April 15th, where's LeBron James? I expect him to be in a Lakers uniform.
Yeah, and that's really the ultimate thing with LeBron. Again, by him controlling his destiny, by him having a no trade clause, is this going to be his last season? Is he going to try to stick around to potentially play with Bryce in 2026? It's just too many variables with LeBron, so many what ifs, so many dominoes that can fall in play. But if you're LA, you just got to deal with him for 12 more months. The new ownership, they may not say it, but I don't think they want to deal with LeBron James every single season. Is this going to be his last season? Is he going to act out? Act like a diva, maybe act like he wants to force his way out, but wants to stay in LA. So again, LA, just buckle down, deal with him for 12 months. You got Luka for the next 3 years plus. That's your main point of contact. That's your main focal point. As long as Luka's happy, you can build your team out around Luka. And LeBron James, he'll just have to figure it out, play up, man up, and stop complaining. Stop trying to control the narratives and get ready for the season. Get ready to play with the Lakers for the full entire season.
Jazz Singh, what do you think of Nesmith for Rui and a first? I would do that, and I like that. I think Nesmith is someone who would check pretty much all the boxes of what the Lakers need from that starting perimeter 3-and-D type role guy. And if you think about a lineup of Luka, Austin, Nesmith, LeBron, and Ayton, I really like that 5-man grouping. Nesmith is someone who we've seen him swing playoff games with his shooting and just go supernova and catch fire and just rip the net. And then we've also seen him take on the primary defensive assignments and do a really good job. I thought he was instrumental in the New York series defending Jalen Brunson. I do think Shea gave him some trouble, but Shea was the MVP, finals MVP last year. He's a top 2 or 3 player in the world. Jokic is going to give the best big men problems. Shea's going to give the best players problems. Luka's going to give the best players problems. Giannis is going to give the best players problems. So I don't really hold that against Nesmith, but I think we did see some of his limitations in the finals against OKC, where I did think Shea largely had his way in that series. And I actually think Nembhard defended Shea better than Nesmith did. And Nesmith, I think, was better against J-Dub, but J-Dub also had a monster series as well. So point being, there are some limitations, I think, to Nesmith. I don't think he's in I don't think he's an all defense caliber guy. I think he's probably if we're tiering it, he's probably a tier 2A defender, maybe a tier 1B, but he's kind of on that borderline. So he's not in the ultra elite, but I do think, especially factoring in his shooting, his offensive capabilities, and we've already seen proof of concept of him being a starter and a heavy minutes guy and a closer on a finals team. And he was always guarding the best player and hitting big shots and making big plays and just having a bunch of big games. That to me is worth it. And I think that the key here with
Yeah, if you can get Nesmith for Rui, that's a perfect trade if you're LA. I don't know how the money's going to work out, but Nesmith, he can shore up that spot with LA. They need someone that's a 3-and-D, someone that can play elite defense. I don't care if he's a 1B or a 2A. He tries hard on defense. He can make the 3-ball. He can make the mid-range. He can make his free throws. You don't have to worry about LeBron James going all out on defense, even though he doesn't really do so anyways. You got Nesmith that's going to be able to guard the best perimeter offensive player on each team. You name those point guards, shooting guards, and even those small forwards. You got a Nesmith that can switch off or potentially guard them for a full game and still contribute on the offensive end. So Rui, solid player. But if you're Indiana, you lost some size with Turner leaving. You can get that back a little bit with Rui. I think that trade makes sense for both teams, but I doubt Indiana's going to let go Nesmith. Without Halliburton, with that injury, out for the full season, they're going to need as much offense and defense as possible, so I think they're going to try to hold on tight for Nesmith unless a trade makes sense. You may have to add some draft picks if you're LA.